Welcome back to another video, and today I will be doing a first impression on Kiko Milano's new summer collection. So today we'll be doing something quite interesting, which is doing a first impression video on Kiko Milano's sort of summer collection from this year. And I have already my base products on. We have the eyeshadow palette, we have cheek products, and then there will be a lip product, so almost a full face. And as always with Kiko's collection, this collection also had a lot of stuff. There were like multiple different lip products, there were different kind of eye products. I do believe there was also, I don't know if they actually released foundation with this one, but there were some other kind of base products included, but I sort of picked the ones that I thought would be most interesting. But we will first start with the eyeshadow, then I will go through the, and as I usually do, I will do one eye on camera, and then after the eyes there will be the cheek part, and lastly we'll go to the lip product that I have, and then we will go to the sort of final conclusion. But let's get first to the eyeshadow part of this video. So, eyeshadow. The palette that I got is Gold Reflections, and this is the Sun Mirage eyeshadow palette in 01 Golden Sunrise. So they had this one, and then there was a more sort of an, I don't think it was a super cool toned palette, but they were like more like very muted blue shades mixed with some neutrals in that one. But I chose this sort of golden one, which, as I have discussed on my channel now quite frequently, seems to be the trend of this summer, that we get a lot of these sort of bronzy golden eyeshadow palettes, and this is how the 01 looks real life. Something I will already say about this regarding the pans, like getting this swatch, there is like a quick YouTube shorts video on my channel with this one. So swatching this because of the pan sizes was a bit difficult, because there isn't actually like that much space in between these sort of straight pans in here. So quite interested to see how this is gonna work out with some of the brushes I have. Based on swatching, seems to be the same good, like decent Kiko eyeshadow quality. The shimmers do seem to be that more sort of an, I'd say, sparklier formula they had, similar to their Christmas palette that they came out last year, and maybe like compared to some of the like staple line palettes where it's more of this sort of an metallic or satin like shimmer. So this seems to have the more sort of sparkly shimmer formula that they have now implemented to some of their like special edition palettes. But there isn't a whole lot we are able to do with this because it's quite shimmer heavy and there's not that many mattes here. But first I will start putting the crease, this sort of peachy shade from here, and we will do this eye again as we usually do, because it's in the sort of better, well, I don't know better, but the sun comes from that side of the sort of that side, so there is a bit more lighting. And now, as I said, I do have to be a bit careful, and there is like a kick up on the pan as I am taking this, which is why I'm not such a fan that there's not that much space in between the sort of pans. So, and I have always said that I think, especially if you're buying eyeshadow from like in Europe, the Kiko is quite of a good like brand in terms of eyeshadow. It is more on the, I'd say, blendable and buildable side, but it's not something like that you will have to build and it still doesn't show up. And they do occasionally come out with good color storage, but with Kiko there is also the issue that they do seem to re-release a lot of stuff. For example, their holiday collections are like quite, you can almost like kind of guess when they release their, like for example, Christmas collection every year, what kind of products they will include to it. And similar to most of their summer collection, I do say that their spring collection, the sort of blooming something, sort of flower themed, which I did praise, that had like, I think the best packaging Kiko has had so far. That had quite unique stuff also included in it. But I do say that this summer collection is perhaps a bit on the safer side in terms of the design. So that applied really well. I will have to say that they really did like a lot of the outer packaging of this summer collection. I do think is quite like something that I haven't seen from them before. So I will give them credit that just like with the sort of collection before this, the packaging all around in this collection is quite like, I do like the design of it. So the peachy shade went quite nicely over the lid. We will do the concealer cleanup later. Now next one there is another peachy shade here, but I'm not sure how much deeper, so I'm thinking about this sort of melon kind of shade up here. So I will try and see will this actually look different, and I will just put it in the lower part of my lid. I am a bit skeptical about it, but does it actually show up, but we will see. mean, it is like maybe like just enough of a more of a mid-tone shade that, yeah. With building, this is actually a tad deeper than the sort of peachy blending out shade that I used first, but and the shades don't have shade names. I do believe there might be numbers behind the packaging, but there is no, like, usually Kiko's palettes generally they don't have shade names to them, so I will just have to like point to them when I use them. I mean, I think that's actually like, obviously because it's quite similar tone to the first shade we used, obviously it did blend out quite nicely, but it is like, I think, enough, like it is just a tad bit deeper that it doesn't actually seem like there are like two same shades on the palette. Okay, we don't have much option for deepening up shades, but perhaps for this purpose of this video we might go, because all the shimmers are also quite, there's just gold shimmers in this one, like we don't have any other option, but I think because I do want to test out two of the like also shimmer shades, so I will put this gold shade over here. I will actually swatch it with my finger. So this sort of more of a bronzier, darker gold shade, and I will use this on my outer corner and see if it is something that can get depth to the look, because the only other deepening up shade in the palette is the matte brown, but yeah, we shall. I mean, that kind of creates a bit of depth. It is not like, obviously, if you want this isn't, I think generally this isn't a palette that you will get a super lot of depth out of it, but I mean, it is very pretty and it is very shiny, so I will give them credit for the shimmer formula that it is for drugstore shimmer formula. This is actually quite beautiful, and that is very impactful with fingers. And I generally think that Kiko shadow has been also that if you want to use brushes to these, they have been like decent with those. Then for the sort of inner corner part, I think I will just go and be a bit boring, and I will use the mid golden shimmer over here, and again I will do a bit of swatching to it, so it's a basic golden. This is actually a bit crumblier than the first shimmer we used, so I'll have to do some cleaning up. I don't know, is it actually that much? Well, it is like clearly a more of a lighter gold. Yeah. So I think this isn't as complicated, or well, not really complicated, but this is as much as we're gonna do in terms of eye, because I have now like used four different shades. So I will do the cleaning up and do the other eye, and then we shall move to I will put some mascara on. I didn't get a new mascara this time when ordering from Kiko, and then we will, after putting the mascara off camera, we will go to the cheek product. But so far in terms of eyeshadow palette seems to be quite similar, good, especially like limited edition quality that Kiko has been putting out lately. So the eye look is completed, and I have the mascara on, and here is what it kind of looks like. So obviously I think with the palette's color story nothing too like complicated, but I will like get back to my sort of final thoughts from first impressions of the palette later. But now let's get to the cheeks, and for cheeks there are two products. So first one is the Gold Reflection Sculpt and Highlighter Face Stick, and mine is in the shade 01, which was the like fairest shade, and the contour shade looks like this, and I think based on the swatch this should be a pretty good match. Something I am a bit worried about is this one. So there is a highlighter, and my experience generally from these kind of stick highlighters are that they tend to lift, quite many of them tend to lift the makeup underneath them, so we shall see. And this has sort of a lilac reflect to it, which kind of will go with the lip product we'll have for today later on. However, considering that the rest of the products are quite warm toned, we shall see how the combination looks like. And then I think with what is the prettiest thing aside from the eyeshadow palette is this one. So I got one of the blushes, and this is the Gold Reflection Fusion Glow Blush in the 02 Sun Kissed Coral. And I have to be a bit careful with this one, because something I'm a bit concerned is that this blush actually moves in the pan. So I am a bit concerned that is this gonna fall off at some point, but this is how the blush shade is looking like. And thinking about the contour stick, are we gonna, maybe I'll just take some straight from the stick itself, because this seems to be a bit on the softer side, at least based on the swatches, so it should like apply to the yeah, at least based on the like, I don't usually like to draw the line, but this is very very soft. I'd say this is even softer than the NYX sort of contour stick formula that I have said that is one of the few contour stick formulas that I like, but this feels even smoother or softer than that one, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your preference for these kind of products. But at least for me, I do feel that because it is soft enough, then it's not like too stiff to work with, and you can actually like blend it directly to your cheek, because with some of these with stiffer formulas I have said that I haven't liked using them directly to my cheek because they are so stiff that it kind of almost leaves a streak even if you would try to blend it out. But so far I do think that I am liking this. I am going to go a bit over with the edges with the sponge, but so first impressions, at least from the contour side of this seems to be quite a good formula that I do like. Let's go then under the chin area, and we'll go with another. That also, and there is a kind of scent to this. It's not like with some of the Kiko products I have said that there's this sort of very uncanny old school makeup scent that I don't like. This has a scent to it, but it's a bit hard to place like how. It's not like a tropical scent or something like that you would maybe think that a summer collection product would have, but it is still something quite familiar. And then lastly the nose, which is not a favorite thing to do. Yeah, I do say that at least the contour side is looking good. Now before we go to the highlighter, I will put the blush next, and I will be careful with this one because this looks to be quite pigmented, and this is a glowy blush, and I hope this isn't going to be like, because I can do a bit of a glowy blush, but if it's like very like what I have said about, for example, why I'm not interested, for example, with the Rare Beauty glowy blushes, because those look like almost a shiny eyeshadow. But let's see this one, and yeah, that's there's a lot of pigment to this, so buyer beware, and I do believe all of the shades were on the more punchier side, at least based on the website images, so there isn't going to be any subtle blush shades, I think, with this particular collection. And that is a bit on the shiny side for my taste, but yeah. So it is definitely, I'm not sure how well that's translating to a camera, but it is glowy. This is a glowy blush, so if you don't like a glowy blush, I wouldn't. But it isn't like, for my preferences, I do think that this is still something that I will enjoy using, so it's not something that I feel that I have like a foiled eyeshadow or something like that on my spread to my cheek, so I think this will be something that I will still get my use out of. Is it similar to the maybe other Kiko blush shades that I do have? Because this was advertised as a coral shade, but at least for me this, I think the shade is called, yeah, this is called like a sun-kissed coral, but this is more, I'd say, on the pinkier side rather than being a bright, because they did have, I believe, a orange, more of an orangey shade that I would maybe describe more as a coral shade rather than this one, but so maybe if you're able to see the blushes in store, do some comparison, because I think they have a shade that I would actually call more of a coral, because this I feel is more of a like a deep pinkish shade. But I do think that this is still like it's a glowy blush, but it's still like manageable for my preferences. Then we shall go to lastly to the highlighter side, which is this one, and how on earth am I gonna put this, because I'm not a fan of putting this directly to cheekbones, but we're still gonna have to do that. Okay, so with this one, because it's in this kind of a format, I will do so that I will draw it to both of my cheekbones, and then I will be using a wet sponge to even it out. Oh my god, that's a purple. So I already knew based on the swatches that this could have potentially quite a strong purple highlighter shift to it, and this is not so going with my eyeshadow look today, because we are having a warm toned eyeshadow look now mixed with something of a more a cool leaning lilac blush, lilac highlighter, and even I would say the pink tone blush is more on the cooler side. I wouldn't say it's emphasizing horribly my textures, but the sparkles are a bit sparse on this one, which is kind of making it look at some point that it's almost like having individual glitter particles on my cheek, which is not something I'm hugely a fan of with my highlighters, because I want them to have sort of a strong base to them, so they will be looking smooth all over. I'm not sure is applying this actually more going to make it. Yeah, that's gonna be. I feel it's not maybe also blending out super great, even though the highlighter stick side also feels similar, that it feels as soft as the sort of contour side. However, for some reason I am feeling that the highlighter is still not like spreading out. Even I am now dabbing it with my sponge and then going it over with the blush brush, it's still looking maybe a bit like streaky or cast-like on the cheeks. I'm so gonna regret this, but it is look fitting. Okay. So cheeks are done. I am going to put a setting spray and go over with my makeup sponge to sort of like trying to get it a bit blend in first. So I think the contours, from the sort of contouring stick, the contour side so far is my favorite, and I am kind of liking the blush, even though it's a bit on the glowier side, and the highlighter, well, as I was a bit afraid already based on the swatches, it's not looking to be my favorite, but I will see how this is going to be looking at the end. But now I'm just gonna go like quickly off camera, and then we'll lastly get to the lip product of the video. So we are approaching the like final steps of this, and I'm still like, I just look at the mirror before like turning on the camera again, and I'm still not feeling too great about the highlighter. However, I'm going to see after filming how it's looking on the camera reel. As a lip product, I mean, I couldn't resist. So they did have sort of, again, because Kiko tends to bring out a lot of different kind of products per collection, and this was one of the very big ones. So there were like lipsticks and everything, but they had new 3D glosses, and I'm at this point, this is like the second favorite formula aside from the Fenty Gloss Bombs, and I have accumulated 3 of these during this month. So I bought one of the shades from the baseline in our local department store that sells Kiko, but as I have discussed before, they are not getting the limited edition products. They only have the like a very big stand of the like staple products, but they don't seem to be getting, because there's now been, ever since they launched in our country at the beginning of the year, there's been like now 3 or 4 limited edition collections since they started retailing the brand, and there still haven't been like any sign that they are getting limited editions one. So that is the reason why I ordered this from their website directly. And from the baseline I bought one, and then with the order there's actually another one of these 3D glosses in there, sort of like it's again one of their limited edition line for those glosses, because they now seem to like include these maybe in every launch in different kind of, and this is also different in terms of, this was also a bit more expensive than the other 3D glosses, which I am kind of like attributing, because this belongs to the limited edition line rather than that this has anything unique to it compared to the 3D glosses they have in their sort of staple line formulas. This has like a golden packaging, so it is different if you would go and buy the baseline glosses that they have in this series, so it is different. And this will go with my blush and highlighter, kind of, not with my eyeshadow, but because this is this sort of lilac cool tone shade. This is obviously not going to be looking like a lilac or not like a strong lilac, but I'm just gonna swipe this onto my lips quickly because it's a gloss, and I'm not using now any lip liner or anything underneath. I might use a lip liner with this when I will be using this in my like normal makeup routine, but I will just to like show how this looks on its own. I will now demonstrate it without anything on my lips. Okay, it is actually looking a bit also. So if you're looking your Y2K vibes, this actually probably this is actually something that would fit that kind of a theme. So this is how it's looking on its own. The lilac reflection is there. I'm not sure is it again translating to a camera, but at least close by I was able to kind of see that it is like it is definitely a lilac gloss. They had a more golden toned one, and then there was sort of a peachy pinky one that had a strong gold reflex to it. So there is like two others if you want to get this in the summer collection. The formula feels like the other 3D glosses, so again I do think that the hike in price with this one compared to the others in their line is mainly due to the fact that this belongs to the summer collection rather than it actually being anything super like different. But yeah, I'm gonna get the hairpins off, and we shall now then get to the sort of final conclusions of this first impressions video and what I thought about all of these products after trying them out now. So, first product that I tried was the eyeshadow palette. So with this one, and as I said, I do think that they have definitely upgraded like the packaging, or they are doing more, because I did feel that for the maybe past couple of years a lot of Kiko's summer collection in terms of also not what's inside the sort of packaging, but also from the outer packaging has been looking quite similar. So I am quite happy to see that they have been now like also doing maybe a bit more special with this limited edition packaging. So I already know before like trying out super many looks with this one that with this palette you aren't definitely going to get a lot of versatility. I will give them credit for putting the more shinier shimmers in this sort of limited edition collection again, because they are like I think very good very good shimmer formula for the drugstore. The mattes are the same like Kiko quality. They are a bit Kiko-y on the pan, but they are like very easy to work with, and they are quite friendly for different kinds of makeup users. Something that I will already like say that if you like super lot of depth with your looks, I might skip this one, because obviously with the there's only like one brown in the bottom of this one, and even I think that's also going to be something that's not going to build super deep, but I will keep trying this out and you will be seeing this in a collective eyeshadow palette review later on. Then for the cheek product, so this sort of contour stick thing, I did like the contour formula, very soft. I do think that this is actually going to be my sort of new like favorite stick contour formula, because this is even softer and easier to work with than the NYX one, and I also feel that while it was quite easy and easy to work with, it wasn't like a contour formula that blends away when you start working with this one. The highlighter, not a fan of so far. Let's see how I'll feel about it in a few weeks time when I get this into my rotation, but it's just like with the stick highlighter, I felt that it's kind of lives like this, that there's a lot of like individual sparkles within the formula, and it kind of like again suffers that there's not enough base to them, so the individual sparkles make it kind of look like uneven at certain angles on your cheekbones, but at least with the contour side this was a win. Then the blush that also had the sort of very nice packaging. I am going to say that I so far, even though it is on the glowier side and I was a bit concerned, let's see, I'm gonna get this open, and hair is doing its own thing today, but we're having there's like it's May and we're having like several days of heat, so there's been like it's over like 24 degrees, which is quite 24 degrees Celsius in here, which is getting to be quite warm where I live in, and it's not a temperature that I'm not super comfortable at anymore, so my hair is getting kind of sticky and oily even though I'm just sitting down and filming, so ignore that. The blush, very beautiful, a bit worried because I did say when I swatched this that the pan actually like sort of moves around, so a bit concerned that is this gonna fall off at some point, but Even though I'm not a fan of glowy blush, I do actually like the shade, and I actually do like how the end result looks on my cheek, because it's not sort of a glowier formula that emphasizes textures, at least so far when I've used this. But again, something I will be getting back in a collective review later. Then the lip gloss, same 3D lip gloss formula, which is one of, I think, best products that I think Kiko generally has in their line. Am I super happy that this is like a few euros more expensive than the other 3D glosses in their other sort of lines? I don't think there's anything that special for them to like hide this price. Because I mean, even though it has like a special gold packaging, it is still essentially the same gloss formula. So I'm kind of deducting points that, because as I said, in the same order I had another 3D blush, 3D gloss, and that gloss was it's not as expensive as this one, but basically the formula is probably going to be the same. So yeah, something to just consider. But if you really want any of the glosses from the limited edition collection, then at least so far I'd say that it's the same formula, stick with the others. But yeah, those were the sort of first impressions of those products, and of course, as I said, I will be getting back to these in a review video later. But so far I do think that generally Kiko has done a good summer collection. It is, I think, a bit different enough from what they have come in the past, although I do say that if you have collected a lot of Kiko makeup products, then I would maybe check that even though the packaging might not be as fancy as the like new packaging in the summer collection, that do you still actually have the same kind of products, because Kiko still is notorious known that they do kind of recycle a lot of the stuff. So just something to consider if you are eyeing this. And because this is their limited edition collection, the stuff is a bit more expensive, so I would say that this actually in terms of pricing, these are definitely getting to the mid-range side, because a lot of the item, even like the individual blushes and highlighters, those are like already over 20 euros, and the eyeshadow palettes are like over 20 euros. So actually when you start adding them to your cart, you are quite quickly getting to the point where you have almost 100 euros worth of products, even though you are looking that, oh yeah, you're only gonna get a couple of bits. So that is again something to put into consideration, especially if you have a big Kiko Milano collection from like already. So I would very much like to hear what did you think about these new products from Kiko, or is this a pass, or is it something that you are also going to buy, or has there been any other exciting summer launches that you will be buying in terms of makeup? If you like this video, then push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I'll be seeing you in another video soon. Bye bye!